Hello, welcome to the Energy Table. I'm here with some lovely, lovely people talking about authenticity, about real stuff when it comes to our real life. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello. I'm Priscilla Soul. I'm here in the flesh, in the live. What can I say? Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to kind of delve deep into this conversation about authenticity and for you guys to get to know a little bit about me. So yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Hi, yeah, I'm Nate the lyricist. So grateful to be here, Orange. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this since I saw your first episode. So I'm gassed. I am a poet, I'm an astrologer, I'm a youth worker, I am a lot of other things, but we'll get into it as the episode goes on. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Ina, also known as Pantherina. I'm a singer, DJ, known Orange for some time, many years now. But it's really nice to reconnect because we haven't been in touch. And so yeah, thank you for reaching out and definitely up for talking about this subject. I think it's needs to be spoken about.
Yes, let's dive in, guys. Let's dive right in because I feel like our society is starving of authenticity. It's almost like world hunger. And we have to we have to feed the people.
Is that everyone's looking the same, right?
Yeah, and it's like we know what we're missing. We just don't know how to access it when really we are the secret ingredient. We're the juice to the real talk. You know, sometimes we have to invite someone in, just like here, invite someone in to meet me and talk to me about it because otherwise it'll be happening in closed doors and it just won't travel and it will not hold us accountable to have that persona. You know, if somebody can see us be straight and honest, they might stop us on the road and have a serious like question, and we kind of invite in the spread of that. Like the pandemic was spreading something, we can spread something that's more openly helpful,
Yeah.
right? So I wanted to ask you guys because you are all like, how would I say,
Creatives.
very creative,
Yeah.
very expressionate and very versatile, very diverse within yourselves, right? I've seen everyone do a variety of things that someone who lives a very like what we would call it ordinary, like you do just you prepare yourself for something and then you end up in that profession and you have that identity, a uniform. I don't see any of you wear uniforms, which I very much adore and love. So how do you find and anyone can just come out and speak, right? How do you find your journey in your life has been when it comes to like communities supporting you guys' evolutions, your new beginnings, your just your moments of uncertainty becoming certain? Like, was the community more helpful? Were they more like a brick in the road stopping you guys? How was it for you?
You know what, yeah? I grew up in a Jehovah's Witness family.
Wow,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
I grew up in a Jehovah's Witness family on my mum's side. And one thing that really stuck out to me is a conversation I had with one of my friend's mums. So she wasn't a Jehovah's Witness and she was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses. And then as she was studying with them, they were saying, yeah, you know, the church that she was with were saying you shouldn't talk to them. But the Jehovah's Witnesses were saying, yeah, you know, come on, you should find out the truth, learn for yourself, do what you want to do, right? And she joined. But then once she joined, she had questions and she started studying outside. And then they said, no, don't do that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? No, don't do that. Right. And that was quite telling for me because obviously, I left a long time ago. I had questions and they said the same thing to me. They said, you know, don't ask certain questions, have faith, only God knows, etc., etc., etc. So they said, don't ask questions, only God knows, etc., etc. God works in mysterious ways, have faith, yada, 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 whatever, right? So I feel like the community that I was a part of, they supported me in, you know, being part of the community. But in terms of being myself, they didn't want me to do that. Do you know what I mean? They wanted me to do what the community deemed as a status quo. You know, so now I've made communities of my own. I've found people around me, and I've connected with people. Do you know what I'm saying? And they're my people, and they like me for who I am. You know. And if I have certain questions, if I want to go down certain rabbit holes, you know, they support me in doing that, and I can be my authentic self,
Yeah.
as opposed to only studying within a certain framework or only thinking within a certain box. Does that kind of touch on the question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Small question. So if you were now to do 360 and face a different direction for yourself, would you think the community you're with right now would hold your space?
Good question. I think a lot of them would, not all of them, definitely not, because community is different from close friends. Yeah, you got close friends who are part of your community, but community is way bigger than that. You know, community is massive. So you got like acquaintances who are part of your community as well.
Yeah.
And some of them have an image of you in their head, or they have an idea of you in their head. Yeah, like you might think that someone is a type of way, and then they do something that shatters that image of them in your head, and you realize they're not like that at all. Yeah. And I think that if I were to do a complete 180, then members in my community would look at me and think I was being fake because they thought I was one way and it turns out I'm another way. You know, whereas I think my friends, my real ones, would stick by me.
And you don't think they're part of your community?
Who?
Your real friends?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, definitely they are. Yeah.
Because you said before, like, friends are different from community.
Friends are in community, but not all community are friends.
Because I feel like my community is just based on friends. Like, everyone just, like, they become friends, and then, they're my extension of community. That does that not make sense? It's not. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that loud. Like, I struggle to apply myself to something that I can see is a community. I need to be friends with them. I feel, I don't know, maybe something that always keeps me like in an arm's length. Because if I don't feel like we are friendly and you see me like thoroughly in all my shades and all my everything, or the ones that see me and everything, they're my friends, or they become my friends, and we become like that. And then it's like, and it doesn't even matter like where they come from, how old they are, how young they are. It's like, it's a heart space connection. And then I call them my community. I don't know.
I would say, I wouldn't use the term community. I use the term village, because I always say that your vibe attracts your tribe. So with that being said, it's like I don't look at as much. You can use the words like cross them over in terms of village and community, but the reason why I say village is because I feel like meeting those people, they become your tribe.
Yeah.
You know, they recognize things that are within you that you may not even see.
Yeah.
So this would be my people that are my tribe. I don't have to look for them.
Yeah.
They just appear, and who I am as myself will attract them.
Yeah.
And like vice versa. So now we become a tribe. The community part, I think, is interchangeable. I think community, growing up, it's like a hit and miss sometimes, and you got to redefine the word of communities because of how we've grown up in it. And like you said, I think like some points, there's been points in my life where I've been a part of a community, but I never felt held.
Yeah.
Whereas now growing up, I found people that I would class as my tribe, but I feel held.
Yeah.
But I have to redefine the word of community.
And I think they could also hold you, like, tell me if I'm wrong, they could also hold you through your transitions.
Yes.
Right? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like your energy never changes.
It only evolves.
It's just like what you represent changes. Or sometimes I feel like we should like welcome changes. Like we should like make room and say, look at the palette. Would you like to change? And just to see how solid they are within themselves.
Change is important, man. Like we got to think, like, I think a lot of people want to like come out and say, oh, I want to be original and all of this stuff, but nothing is original. Everything has already existed.
Hey. Yeah.
Right? We're just adding on to it. So if we look at the word creation only means to grow, because there was something before creation, which is pre-existence. There's existing, and we all came from that.
Yeah.
So everyone should be happy to be just a comma to add on. If we see a chair, the chair might be a basic chair, but someone will add to make that chair a better chair, and so on in life. Soon that chair might be floating. You know, it might not have legs because we've evolved it to change it for better.
Yeah.
So change is inevitable. It's always
Adjusting
going
to our
Yeah.
needs, right?
Yeah.
I read, not that read, but I heard something where it was like, we don't learn new things, we just remember old things. You know, there's nothing new that will
Under
come
the
to
sun,
us. We
yeah.
would just, it's almost like we dismantle and then we can tap into something that we kind of already knew, but we just never looked that way.
It's natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a I think a podcast that I was listening to, and it talks about being a mutant.
A mutant.
A mutant.
Yeah.
Why is it mutant?
Because we're always mutating.
Oh, sorry.
Because we're always mutating, we're always evolving, we're always transforming, we're always growing.
Yeah.
So, like, you look at the let's say X-Men, and you think the mutants are less bad, but they're not. They're actually just things that are always changing. They're always evolving. They're always growing. They have their powers, but they're always mutating. But mutation is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing.
It's a natural thing. Yeah,
a natural thing.
It happens within us.
However, we're muted as humans. I know it's fact, but I'm just trying to look, because I'm looking at elephants and the way that they have muted into, like, you know, like just to save themselves.
Yeah.
They like animals
adjust.
do it in a certain way, but us as people, feel like we don't really learn too much about how we can mutate and what benefits that could have and what we could do to be a little bit more intentional about how we want to, because we've been already, and it's like that is not part of the curriculum, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
I get what you. I guess it's like, I think more people just have to be more open to being vulnerable.
That's the one. We've gone back.
That's the hard bit, though.
Because
You
your
know,
vulnerability is your biggest power.
your vulnerability is your biggest power, but that you're also under fire. And I think, like, especially growing up and being a young person, that's where it starts. You know, when you start from young, actually. You know, but certainly your teenagers and stuff like that, you come under fire. Everyone does.
Yeah.
For various reasons, you know, because that's just part of the push and pull of growth, you know what I mean? And so that's where you start to become very self-aware, and that's where you may start to hide parts of yourself or overemphasize parts of yourself, try to protect yourself. You start processing trauma differently as well. Like when you're really young, you can handle trauma in different ways. When you get older or teenage, whatever, you start acting more, you know, and you're out in the world.
Yeah.
So you can start creating cycles and loops, and then go further and further into not being authentic.
Yeah.
You know.
Find also, like, when you're young and you go into the world, out into the world. It's a bit lazy. And you have these experiences that might make you question how authentic or vulnerable you should be and how healthy that is. Find, like, it sometimes has to do with, like, us coming home, and then it's extended with our families. It's almost like, you know, like what we do outside represents them, and then it becomes like a burden even in your own house. But when we're adult, we don't really have that. I feel like we may relate to, like, when something happens that's questionable outside, I can go home and rest, just leave it outside, take it
And feel
home.
safe.
It's nothing to do with me, really. It's just to do with that space or that duality or this person's reflection or da da da. But that, and I had to learn to not do that, to have this identity that I had growing up, where I had to represent, and for the culture, for the this, for the that I felt very uncomfortable. So sometimes I would avoid this or avoid that, use that, because I'm still struggling with my children. Like, I don't try and let them feel like burdened by representation, but at the same time, I have my own brand as a human. Right. And then sometimes I wanted to respect it, and I'm like, I fall into the trap. Like, I'm becoming the problem, but also it's the real world. So I don't want to, like, make them be like delusional.
Unrealistic, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I want to hold their space. It's so difficult to do
Find the
something
balance
that you
between it.
don't know, you know?
I feel like it's just, like, when it comes down to having, obviously I haven't got children, but I would say you talked about having your own brand.
Yeah.
I think your children in itself are their own brand, and you kind of have to let them flow through that themselves. Because I always ask the question, I always ask my mom this, and sometimes she gets annoyed, but it's the truth. I'm like, did you have me to be fruitful, or did you have me to be a slave? Because and the only reason why I ask that question is because from the story, from what I know, it says made.
Oh, Mumsy.
Mumsy's in the shower just thinking like,
I know it's harsh, but I know it's a harsh question, but it's the truth because
Necessary.
it's necessary to have those conversations. Because my thing is this: if we're talking about the creation story says that I was made in His image, but the only image that I know is my parents' image. So if that's the only image that I see and I know and that I've witnessed, then I have to ask the question: then, did you have me to be a slave, or did you have me to be fruitful? Because I should be able to live my own life and I should be able to make my mistakes and grow. Because me being here is my own is my own choice and my own is my from when I came out, I was comfortable in that home, living my best life in the darkness. I came out now. People have now put stuff onto me. Your name is this. You're this age. You're that. You're this and that, and all of this. And I'm like, and then everything's been indoctrinated on me from since I came out the womb.
Yeah.
And as I grow up and I get older now, and I'm going through life and I'm having my own experiences because maybe my parents wasn't able to fully help me or guide me down certain situations. I'm having to now experience things for myself. I'm having to learn from those experiences, and then from those experiences, I'm now learning to mother and father myself at the same time. So then now I do turn around to my parents and I have to ask, did you have me to be fruitful, or did you have me to be a slave?
What do they say?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to know.
My mum always gets annoyed, so my mum will be like, "Go and tell me are the mother and you are the pitney," and I'm like, I'm sure, but no problem, I'll take it. But no, when I actually sit down and I definitely have that conversation, because my dad's more of a talkative person rather than my mum. My mum avoids the question. My dad, he understands, and he was like, "No, I had you to be fruitful. I'm not molding you to be anything. I'm just always here as a father for you to always come to and speak to." And when I think of that term, father, as much as we didn't live in the same household, he was always there even though he was far away, if that makes sense. Because I look at that word father and I see far in it, and I understand that his wisdom is always with me despite him not necessarily being in the household, and I'm living with my mum who's going through her own struggles and her own experiences. And for her, she's the polar opposite. I would say she probably would more turn to the idea of that I had you to be my slave, because I always get asked, can you do this, can I do that, whereas my dad never asks me for anything. But I feel given to give to my dad because he's never asked for anything, whereas my mom's always asking. So I have both extremes. I'm like, one maybe did have me to be a slave, but the other one knew that I was going to be fruitful, if that makes sense.
That's so interesting.
But yeah, that's how I see it in terms of when I look at all the stories and I look at all the books or anything like that, I always look to my parents because that's the only image I know.
That's beautiful. I feel like I should be taking notes. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Question to you guys: as professional environments that you, as you know, the being that we are male, females, we are age groups, we are cultural backgrounds, but we also are beings, right? We're spirits. And we moved through different like work environments, school environments, community environments. How do you find you are being held in like in the places where you make money? Like, do you find you have to be, because you all are very you've got stage experiences, right?
Yeah.
And it comes with creating like a brand, or creating a consistency in what you represent, what is important, what is your intention with what you put out into the world, with what you put out into the world. So how do you find how free are you in that space? How welcomed is your evolutions, your new beginnings, your
in the creative
Flow.
space.
yes.
I mean, for me, because of the work I do is as a singer, and is and has been for the time being, not sort of my own creative endeavor. So I'm working within a framework. Do you know what I mean? Everything is set up. These are the songs you have to sing. This is how much you're going to get paid. This is where you need to be. I'm lucky that I've just come to a point in my life that I don't seem to work with bad people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like everyone I work with is mad cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. So I feel I
you
can
enjoy it
walk
as
into work, I can be myself. I can show up any which way, furthermore, because I always get the job done. And yeah, I feel good for that. But I am very much, I feel like wanting to step outside of that and come from a more creative space myself, because I think you can make your working environment be whatever you want it to be. You know, we all have the power to do that. So
Do you feel like, specifically now to respond to you, do you feel like you may have taken a little bit more time to do you because you were still figuring out who you are?
yeah, definitely. And just also I think like trauma, that's something that's been coming up a lot this year for me. And I've just kind of realized, I've reflected back specifically on my teenage years, and I've realized that there was like loads of trauma there that I just never acknowledged. And so because I was aware of it, but I just didn't acknowledge it as trauma, I think it just put some kind of something on me that couldn't go until now. I start to actually go, okay, I see that for what it is. I see the patterns that it created. I see. And I unpack. And now I definitely feel like so much energy has shifted in my being. So yeah, I think that's had a huge part to play. Yeah.
It's divine time.
Divine time. Just going to say that.
Yeah.
I feel like I in the creative space, yeah, I feel like I create the space. Most of the creative spaces that I'm in are created. You know, like I run my own events. If I'm being booked for an event at this point, a lot of the time it's an event that's come after I've started being a poet. You know, so like I've been doing poetry for like about a decade now. So let's say an event comes along, they've been running for 4 years. Do you know what I mean? So they're asking me to come. They're not asking me to change who I am. Do you know what I mean? They're not asking me to behave a certain way to get on their platform. They know me already. They want me to come. So if I'm walking into a space, then it's mine. So no one can tell me that.
Great question, because I've seen you in a few spaces. So dope.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know that like I remember like the one poem that you wrote. I think it's called Mary Jane.
Okay.
So sweet. But it's like, is every environment welcoming the facet that, or do they say, oh, we would like you to speak about this, or could you please be about this?
Yeah.
Like, are they allowing you to be a full spectrum?
Yeah. I won't go there if they're not. If they're asking me to speak about something and it's something that I am aligned with, then I'm on it, you know. But I got to book him from Nationwide Bank to do a Christmas ad. I didn't do that. Can I say? I didn't do that nonsense. You know what I mean? What did a Christmas ad for? I'm gonna get up there and talk about Bunyan, Santa Claus, and you know, you don't want to hear my poem about Christmas, yeah. So
Has it got anything to do with mushrooms?
exactly, innit? Yeah, you know it, yeah.
Okay, good.
So I'm thinking, you know, like if someone asks me to do something that doesn't align with what I would do with my journey, then I won't do it. I'll just say no. The money's not worth it for me.
That.
Yeah. So anyway,
Say that into the camera.
the money is not worth it for me. You know, money is something that money is currency, is energy, is something that you can. I keep kicking your mic. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
He's trying to take me out, but it's cool.
Do you know why? It's because Pete, this is what you said to me earlier. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, in it. Money is currency, energy.
Yeah,
Money is something you can create. Yeah, you can create money from thin air.
We are money.
100%.
Energy is the currency. I love that you saying it, because I keep trying to say it. You'll find this phrase in every episode, like energy is currency. It's always been though.
You just got to tap into it. And I think a lot of people miss sometimes that opportunity. It's always there. The window's always there.
And it's tough, man. You know, we live in such a capitalist society, and if you're not, you know, if you haven't got a great community around you and you haven't got money,
survival.
you ain't living. Like you especially in London, like where are you going? You know, what are you doing? Like you need that community, or you need these people around you. You need to create these experiences like yourself,
Yeah.
you know, where money's not it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't need a lot. But I do feel like growing up in London, I know what it's like to not have money.
Yeah.
And I've struggled with it, you know, and I felt very disempowered. But it was a reflection of what was going on in
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
And I think that's what people need to actually sit with and realize that realization that it's within me.
Yeah.
Because once you have that realization, then you can build to work on now gaining more. Because when you're in survival, you don't want to do nothing spiritual.
Yeah.
When you're in survival mode.
Yeah. But you get humbled to the point that that's all you got left. There's nothing else to do but. And I also find like the things that are like our future blessings, because I also grew up with, I wouldn't say not a lot of money, but not enough. And it was always like an instigator of problems.
Yeah.
There was always money.
It's never enough though, is it?
People are crying.
Never
It's
enough.
never enough.
It's never
No
enough.
matter how much you got. Yeah.
And it was the
Cycle.
attitude that made me as well think like money brings bad relationships. Like it turns things really sour and really this. So I never used to like holding on to money. Like I had money and I'd be like giving it away. Like who can I give this to? Like I don't want to hold on. I don't want to be known as someone with money, I used to think, because I thought it means you're lacking empathy or you're lacking genuine. It's like it's, I don't know, weird stuff
Yeah.
like that. And ultimately, I realized I have a very easy way with money. Like, okay, my theory is like we grow up with the our gift as an opposition, like something that like it really traumatizes us, but it's that we have a gift for this to really be ours. I don't think that makes sense. Like see people that have that very super loving, like have all this huge generosity and kindness, will have like a very dry experience growing up. Like they're lacking receiving love because they're so full of it. Really, they are like abundant in it. But
Yeah.
they will feel this lack because they're not giving it to themselves. Then some people that have a very like natural financial abundancy will have a very traumatizing experience of money. Or like when you have like certain gifts, you will have like an opposing experience to make
It
you
all
understand
balances out.
Yeah.
it's all in you. You don't really need the external world for that. Other things, yes, not for that. You know?
Agreed.
Like everyone to look into the palette of things that like burdened you growing up and just see yourself now on the other side. Hopefully you're on the other side to see how much of that really is your natural attribute. So I think it's sometimes that's how life works.
See, yeah. And on the subject of authenticity, yeah, this is what it is. Like sometimes money can be a lot of people's turning point, you know, where money destabilizes
Yeah.
their authenticity or their integrity or, you know, someone that they would have been because there's money. Do you know what I mean? They're like, okay, I'm gonna write a poem about Christmas. You know, I'm gonna write a poem about Santa Claus if you want, you know.
It's very true because I think about entertainers, right? And I think about how much entertainers get paid compared to, let's say, someone saving someone's life. And when you deep it, when you deep it, you got to think about. I had to ask, why does entertainers get paid so much? And when you actually sit there and you think, you go, you only get paid so much not to ask questions. Because if you think of that conversation of we talk about the devil or demons, right? And we talk about devil being the pleasure, someone who can give pleasure, like do favors. He's giving you everything that you want. You're not realizing that that whole deal with selling your soul is not. It doesn't even know you can't sell your soul. Who told you can? It's not real.
Yeah, but you can sell. You can. I can
yeah.
capture your soul or you. You know,
Yeah.
your being. Like,
Give-
of
take
course,
parts of
it's
you.
always mine. I can always take it back. I'm free to go. But in a way, you're locked in. I feel like the industry is really, when you get to the kind of higher levels, yeah, people haven't got real personalities. They haven't got real opinions. They're not political. Nothing like that because they are owned. They have handlers. They're owned. That's it.
And they
they
need
have to
to,
be.
like,
They have
keep
to
the
be
flow of
because
their-
if not, things will be changing different. They'll be running riot. The system as it is has whoever's. I want to say it's one person or it's just one group, but there are factions with a lot of power and they want to keep things a certain way. So you're not going to get up there unless you're heavily compromised. And that's why you're not going to open your mouth. You're not going to say shit.
This is
COVID
what
was
it
a
has
perfect
been.
example.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Just here's the hymn book. Please sing. Everyone. Everyone.
Don't question it.
Everyone.
I questioned it.
Yeah.
I wasn't even doing anything though.
Who really, really who? Like, not many up there. People who really could have. And I
Yeah.
feel like people who then they came when it was too late.
Way too late.
Then like a year, later, well, after everything was all rolled out, they were like, oh yeah.
It's like, my guys. And that's like,
mad.
and that's why I say entertainer, you don't get paid to not ask questions.
But I
Paid to
think
not ask questions.
No,
That's what you get
You're
paid.
spot on, yeah.
it's
paid
because
spot on with
we
that.
surrender. I'm just gonna put myself into that. But I feel like it's because we surrender to that way of doing things. Because if theoretically every high vibrational, beautiful hearted artist would step out, it would be a dry place, a dry industry. And it's not because the art wouldn't like be alive. It's just like it needs to have a new place. That is like my dream, to just like separate the energy space, because I feel like so much is normalized to say this is how you do things though, and it's because we surrender to that ultimately is why it's still existing, because it shouldn't.
Thing is, the industry, they know who they got, man. They know who they got, and they know how to get people, and they mold people from young as well. Do you know
But
what I'm
it's
saying?
because we go to school, we have these
they breed
traumatized
people.
experiences to think at least we make the money. But where's faith? Where is our authenticity being valued and dignified and respected? And where are we loving ourselves? Because every artist still has, like, I feel like artists are very still somehow very present with themselves, even though it's not always like in a meeting or in, like publicly presented, but it's something like there's a connection with self, right? When you tap into your work and you create this harmony that is the value, right? You put it into something that's tangible to see. And that could be sold. Like I always like question when we sacrifice our time and our energy into something we know is not gonna show up for us. It's not gonna hold us when we're not well and understand us when we need it. When like, why is it thriving? I don't think, is it thriving right now? Because I feel like things are happening and like it's becoming more recognized that certain places don't have morals. They don't have realness, like, and
But I mean, I've been watching some like series and stuff like that, and obviously music we can talk about all day long, but there's so much like narrative of just get money, just do whatever, like, do you know what I mean? Like, do whatever you
Desperation.
have to do, just get it. That's all that matters, and everything is just crime, and I
feel like in that world
it's like it's constant though. It's constant.
but we can't complain in a world like that people have no hope to do
Of
right.
course, I
I
but
feel like, but we should
you
like,
can see why. You know what I mean?
but it doesn't help it. Like, and knowing why doesn't help. Like, what can we do?
No,
to
what helps is that us
change?
creating alternative things, writing poems, writing songs, doing things that, give people inspiration in a different direction. Because it is just feeding the beast. Like,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different factors. Yeah, so community is a macro of the family.
Yeah.
Which is the micro. So obviously it starts at home, right? It starts with you and how you deal with your child. Do you know what I'm saying? And then what that child grows up to bring into the community or into the world is important, you know. And also then you got the integrity of the person. And I feel like I read something once here, like a healed man creates a healed community, right? So like if I am looking after my spirit, I'm looking after myself, then people are gonna rally around me and I'm gonna keep them safe. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna educate them. I'm gonna help them find things. I'm gonna do, like, you see a lot of healed men that are doing big things, like Omega Axel, do you know what I mean? Or like, and they're out there looking after elephants, and do you know what I'm saying? Like they're clearly healthy people, they're traveling the world, they're doing things like, obviously everyone's got their life, but there's a community that's forming around them. So I feel like it's our responsibility to take charge of our community. Do you know what I mean? Take charge of our young people in our community, to know that we're a village. Yeah, to make sure that the young people in our village are accounted for, they're looked after, they're safe. Do you know what I mean? They're like,
But I feel like, can I interrupt?
yeah, go on.
Because I feel like there is a lot of intentions I see everywhere. I feel like people always start in the right way, but then if you don't do the inner work and you don't really see yourself within, like, and you understand places that you might not know, you're not as healthy as you know you are. You might project. You might try and save someone from something they need, you know, and you'll bring your full force because you're like, I'm saving you. And all of a sudden you're the problem. It's like, I don't think there's one person can control anything. I feel like we are, like, if we have, like, you know, they say like the internal universe, if we can have an internal community, if we can be that and just naturally connect and vibe. And even if somebody wants to move away, allow them, but have an open space, because it's an unconditional community. But we have to be unconditional with ourselves. And there's a lot of work necessary for that, you know? And I feel like I struggle sometimes to find communities, not friends circles, where I can fit, because I feel like there's always something.
This goes back to what I was saying earlier, though, Orange, yeah, about the difference between friends and community. This goes back, yeah. So
I struggle with community.
there are a lot of different communities that I'm a part of. Yeah, I'm a part of, like, we play video games. I'm a part of a video game community. We're gamers.
I love that.
Do you know what I'm saying? I do poetry. I'm part of a poetry community. They're different communities. The poetry community and the gamer community that I'm part of, they don't mix with each other, but I am part of both of them. So then there's me and my community, the people that are around me a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I'm part of a lot of different. I'm part of a creative community. I'm part of an astrological community. I'm part of a musical community. I'm part of a this, a that, you know? And I feel like all of those different communities are all going to have their different ideals. Yeah. Some of them might tolerate certain things that others wouldn't tolerate. Which is why if I did a 360 or 180, sorry, some of them might look at me and think, okay, I thought you were like this, but you're like that, because they projected what they thought I was onto me. But that's because they're community. They're not like sitting next to me. Do you know what I'm saying? They're sitting in the same room as me because we all play video games together. That's it. We're the video game community. That's that, you know? So I feel like the community that you build, like, for example, here, the people that you invite into this space, onto this table, onto this podcast, do you know what I'm saying? The people that you allow to share their voice on your platform. That's different from the people that, you know, you're going to meet outside, but you wouldn't bring them into this space. Do you know what I'm saying?
And I pick very wise, because I'm trying to not just show my conversation. I'm trying to show, like, certain energies. Because I feel like we can have beautiful conversations with some that are still not as genuine to themselves. And it's not about judging them. It's about highlighting the direction that's possible. Setting an example.
Yeah, and I think authenticity as well is, like, it's always going to be a work in progress, because I feel like we always have blind spots in whatever we're doing, in all areas of our evolution, right? So we can get so far and think, oh my God, like, yeah, I can understand, and then you're not, you know, you miss that, or you miss that. And we talk about that with parenting as well. It's like we'll focus on maybe ways in which our parents, we feel, could have done better. So then with our kid, we make sure that we correct that. But then in that process, we might overlook other things and completely just didn't gone. You know what I mean? And then they'll grow up and be like, oh, but you didn't. And you're like, oh.
Like, that's why authenticity is important, because people have to be able to use the voice and make you aware of it too. Again, there's not just one person who can do everything. Like, we're meant to have blind spots because someone else is meant to come in.
We're always peeling back
and balance it out.
More layers.
But for that, we need to be open enough for it, because we understand that we've had this journey ourselves. So we have to allow it someone else too. But you have to do that with yourself at some point, so you can recognize it when you see it.
The thing in terms of, like, I think that makes sense a lot of the time, because you do need those blind spots, definitely, because it brings balance. And, you know, it brings balance to the situation when you do have those blind spots, and nothing's always going to be perfect. You know, like, nothing's meant to be
perfection.
The pyramids weren't built perfect, so we just have to understand that. But I would say, in terms of authenticity, the more and more you get to know self, the more you go deeper, the more you turn within with that rather than looking at external, because external, I see it as you only see 5%. There's a whole 95% that you don't see. So why am I wasting my time in the 5% when I've got a whole other part of myself that I need to go and explore that is way more richer, way more nourishing than only that two eyes can perceive.
Yeah.
They like to say this is the third eye, but I don't see it as the third eye. It's the first
The
eye.
first, yeah.
Ooh, it has to be the first eye.
Ooh.
These are all only secondary because these only perceive what it wants to perceive. But everything.
But it's kind of leading us though. Whatever I find, like it takes time to lead with this.
Because it's been brainwashed.
It's the thing that will haunt us. It's the
You know, this can only see, you know, there's like a spectrum of light,
Yeah.
and you can see that much
That's
with these,
small.
but this one sees a lot
Everything.
more. With your spirit, you can feel energy.
how can we how? Because sometimes I feel like it's a chance situation for me. Like I don't know what am I looking with? You know, what am I seeing? Like how do you work on using like your higher self, your third eye or your first eye to lead? How do you do that? Snap. How do you do that? Okay, tell me.
It's about training your spirit. Yeah, it's about training your spirit. You're right, it does take training, but it also takes intuition. Like it is something that happens naturally for you.
It's trust.
Yeah. The thing is, the reason it takes training is because our environment is sick. So a lot of the time you might feel like something is the case, but it's not. Yeah. So like you might see someone and they're not making eye contact, or they've got their arms folded, and you feel like they've got a problem with you, but they don't. They're just cold, or they've had a rough morning. Do you know what I'm saying? And what you feel is wrong. Yeah. That does happen. But at the same time, it is important to trust your feelings. It's really important because that is your intuition. Yeah.
It's also like helping you unpack.
Yeah.
To make you see, oh, I feel a bit insecure when someone's giving me a body language.
100%.
What is that about? When did that start? And go into that rabbit hole, isn't it?
It's rumination. You know, a lot of us do it because it's easier to fall into the fault of negativity when all we need to do is go back to the first original thought.
Yeah.
Because from that first, that's what it is.
Oh yeah.
But what we've done is from that thought, we've just
I
sidetracked
love
it.
to like go for different answers, and I'm like, what was even the first answer? But I know that's what was
That's the
meant
original.
to.
Yeah. And
I think how you react to that feeling is gonna be important, but you know, feeling it is the first step. That's what it is. You know, like acknowledge that there is a feeling that you're feeling something. You know, and try and tap into what that is.
I would agree with that, and also say on top of it is that learn to respond rather than react, because a lot of the time you'll be in a situation and it's quick to react, but sometimes you just got to take some time and then respond.
Yeah.
That leaves more.
I find very hard. Got a lot of fire in me, even though I'm like earth and air, but I have fire in like my other charts, the important charts, I think. And it's like I react a lot, and I had to. And I'm not violent like this, but I will react. I'll be like bringing up how I feel. You can see it in my face blatantly. And it's like, I had to like learn to direct myself where I'm safe to do that. Like in the right places, they will not judge me because they know me. They understand, oh, what's wrong with Orange? Like, sit down, let's talk about it. Instead of being like, how can you talk like this? Why are you looking at me like this? Don't do that. Like making it a thing because.
But like you say, it's that reacting, responding. It's like when you're in a situation, you might feel a certain way, so you need to take a second just to process that.
Oh, I'm learning.
Just to process it. Let the dust settle. Might only take 5 minutes, you know. Then it might take less, might take more. But then you can actually talk. I had it with my friend the other day, and it was like, because we were on the phone, we just started reacting, you know. And obviously afterwards we're cool, you know, it's fine. But afterwards I'm like, should have just been like, let me call you back.
Yeah.
Let me just sit with this for a minute, and then I'll know, of course, everything's always fine, man. It's always blessed. Like if we're having different opinions, where it's fine, but sometimes in the moment, you know, it can. And then the only reason I say sometimes it's good to stop is because you don't want to say something you don't mean, or you don't want to do something you might regret and stuff like that, because you're just, you know, you're not in control of your energy. You know,
I heard like when something happens and escalates, it's 90 seconds that our body needs to purge that feeling, to process it and let it go.
Wow.
every feeling you have after that is like based on our expectations and the way that we have firm under like beliefs that we say, no, this is what it should look like, this is what it should, and then we just dwell. That's 90 seconds that our body really like just holds the feeling and like purges it and process it and like in a healthy way for the body, but then like our mind is like, no, I'm not ready to let go. I'm gonna fight to the bottom of it. And then we just like playing and being argumentative, but it's
You're
not
pouring energy as well into something that maybe, what's actually the real solution.
Yeah.
What you really do. Are you going to actually get a solution that you want, or are you just pouring more?
Yeah,
Fuel into the
I've
Yeah.
had my moments where I was like, I felt it like 5 minutes ago, and now I'm just like looking into the room thinking, I don't really feel like this no more. But I put the bar
Now I've
again
started.
now. Now I have to like figure out the way out.
I've learned coping mechanisms when it comes down to like when I want to react to something or like I would say emotions.
Yeah.
Because everything's based off of like our emotions and feelings, right?
Yeah.
And I love breaking down words and actually understanding what the word means, because I feel like all the truth, they've hid it in the words that we speak, in the language that we speak. So I think about, okay, if I've got the word emotions, right? But then I take away the E, what am I left with?
Motion.
But what is motion?
Movement.
But what is movement?
Transformation.
Energy.
Energy. Oh, sorry, yeah.
There you go.
So energy is currency.
So if I move that energy, so whether that is, okay, I have a problem with someone and I just need to speak to them, then I can now make room for new energy to flow through. But more time people don't speak their truth. They hold it and it ends up in their body. So when that person comes around, you're tight. You feel certain ways and you're like, ugh, and you're not understanding because you have not moved that stagnant energy.
Yeah.
So whether that is, okay, cool, I'm feeling angry, I might move away from you and I might have to go and dance, shake off some energy.
Yeah.
I might be feeling some type of way, pain. Okay, I'm going to go into the gym and transmute that pain into something physical for me for it to appear on my body. That's how I shift energy rather than it holding on or sitting with it. I would move it because that's what all it needs to be done. I just need to empty to now make new room for new energies that I want, because energies want to be here. Every emotion that we feel, every entity, they want to be here just as much as we do, because they're the only way for them to express is through us. They have no other way of expressing themselves apart from through you. So anger, sadness, happiness, joy, they only can express themselves through you.
Yeah.
So
and
you
only
have to,
for a certain time as well.
Yeah.
Like they're not.
But I feel what you're saying. It's like that energy will try its hardest to stick around for as long as possible because, hey, I'm getting to shots my time. Woo!
but I had to literally that,
true.
exactly that. It's like I'm here.
Yeah.
Anger, I'm here.
Yeah. This is what you wanted. This is what they wanted. They wanted to draw me out. Now I'm here. You get me? Now I'm mad.
It's like a high of a feel as well. It's like a drug, right? Yes. Like it's almost like making us feel alive.
For me, yeah.
So coming to an end. No, but this is so cool. You guys are such cool people. Just quickly into the cameras. Tell the audience who you are, where they can find you, if they want to like look you up, because it's worth their time.
We started this way last time, innit? So
So my name's Ina, aka Pantherina. You can find me on Instagram, Panther #1NA.
dope. I am Nate. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Instagram, Nate the Lyricist. I run 2 events that I want to plug real quick. I can plug them real quick here. One of them is called Conversations with the Constellations. It's an astrology themed poetry event. It's not just poetry. We have singers, we have drummers, we have whatever. We have someone play the sax before. But each month, all of the performers are of a certain star sign. So during Aries season, only Aries can perform. During Capricorn season, there's like as many Capricorns as I can get into the room. I've been doing that for 5.5 years now. So you can find that one on social media, C with the C. The second event that I run is at Auntie Jean's African Culture Market. So again, similar vibes, but each month we choose a revolutionary. We spend the month studying them. We write poetry about them. We perform it at Auntie Jean's Market. So we've done like Patrice Lumumba, Haile Selassie, Winnie Mandela, Sasha Kaur, Kandake Mana Renas, etc. etc. Next one is Formula Ransom Kuti, that's Fella Kuti's mom. You can find that one on social media, Minds of Revs, Revolutionary Minds, but it's Minds of Revs, and Seed with the C. I do so much other stuff, so you know, connect with me, Nate the Lyricist, and yeah,
Check him out.
enjoy.
Hello, Priscilla Soul here. You can catch me on Instagram at official Priscilla Soul. Tap in with me. I do holistic stuff. I like to plant seeds and grow sunflowers. So come along, speak to me. You get to know me more by coming into my world. I'm not really the most of the talker. I'm more of a person to come and be intimate, and you get to see more of the mysteriousness of me by speaking to me and spending time with me. So yeah, Priscilla Soul, come find me.
Thank you guys for taking your time and bringing your energy.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, it's
Highest
This energy table.
love and currency, you know, that
This
we
is
can
dope.
share. Really, really grateful. If you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, follow.
Do that, you know.
Yes, come on, guys. No, but
It's been dope. It's been a fun time.
really appreciate you guys' voices. It's important because we're saving the world from world hunger, feeding them authenticity.
One ego at a time.
You know? Thank you. Tune in next time. Bye.
You see, he had to get in there.
I feel like that has to go in the blue part. That has to go in.
That's a wrap, yeah?
Guys, thank you.
Thank you.